gentrification in Cobblin Square for a good majority of my youth. So between now, Mattapan, Dorchester, Cobblin Square, and Roxbury, I kind of had a breadth of the experience of, Boston, Black Boston, if you will. And then to my upbringing, I was a child of the Elmer Lewis School. My uncle and aunt, Gus and Lucy, taught there, taught sewing there. So I'm deeply rooted in the community. And then when it came time for me to put something forward in the form of media, that's why I coined the term Blackstonian. Because, for me, it was always a rich history of Black Boston, from our arrival in America, and on into, our history in Beacon Hill and all that. And, then we had such a prominent and thriving line of, arts, all of the arts, everything from, dance, theater. There's so many, stories in each of these genres. And then as well as the stuff that had to do with, other quote unquote regular life, whether it's politics or business or whatever. We've had some of the best and the brightest right here in Boston either come from here or come to here and then leave here with something a little bit different. So I experienced all of that. And my experience as a young man is that of most, black young men. Spent a lot of time fighting on my way to and from running around Boston, because this was a time when black people weren't supposed to be here and there, and we didn't take too kindly to that. So that resulted in a lot of fighting. Went to a lot of schools, felt a lot of racial tensions, got kicked out a lot, harassment in my community by the police, and so on and so forth. So all of that experience was very similar, but thankfully I've also had that other side too, which helped to really, quite frankly, balance it out and not drive a brother completely crazy.
Right, that's wonderful, a wonderful beginning. My beginning is similar to yours. I'm a Madison Park girl and lived behind the Howland Tap. I'm a Dudley Square chick, and we'll ask you later, what do you feel about this Ferdinand building and the whole Boston Public School take up? But if you want to speak on that now, fine.
I just say that gentrification is an issue that I'm always concerned about. It's been going on for long before this. This is the precursor to that. When they began kind of the beginning, sending in the experimental troops into Dudley first, the Ferdinand building was not set. And then construction there was, finalized in terms of, we now know it's a go on this project. And actually, as we all know, the Ferdinand building has something was going to happen there, and the project has been in the pike for probably 25 years at least. And many politicians and many of our elected officials have worked to do it. I'm not really too keen on the idea of the Boston Public School headquarters being there, and I'll tell you why. I remember when they moved the Boston Police headquarters from downtown to Ruggles, and people who were trying to be supportive of that said, well, if they're in the community, we're going to get better service and da-da-da. How'd that work out for you?
Right.
Not too well.
Right.
So I don't really care where the department is located. What I care about the services that are being delivered and how they relate to the community. And so I have major issues with the way that the Boston Public Schools are run and how our schools are run down. So I don't know that it being located in Dudley means an inch of progress in any direction for our children. And I think that's the main thing. Whereas it could be located on the moon for all I care, a moon-based alpha, if it's as long as we get the services and support that we need for our children, and whether that's those who have a different language other than English, whether that's those who are in special needs situations, whether and need to be, or whether that's those who are in special needs situations and shouldn't be.
Right.
All right. So, there's a lot of issues swirling around the, school department. It would be nice for maybe our kids to have some, books to take home. Maybe that could be nice. Paper, pens, those type of things. So I think we have a lot more stuff to focus on.
Media programs, equipment.
Yeah. Now you open the can of worms. So yeah, media program, arts, culture, theater. You're talking about debate, chess. You're talking about schools having their own newspaper, which I could show them how to do for very cheap, and it would actually help make them money. And then Black history. I've promoted something what I've called a truth-based curriculum, because I think that when we've screamed for Black history, Black history, Black history, it was too easy to marginalize. But when you say a truth-based curriculum, the question is, back in the day when they thought the world was flat, and then they discovered that the world is round, which most African and other ancient people knew for centuries, millennia, even before that. But okay, so they finally discovered that the world is round. Now, how long did it take them to update those books and begin teaching it? Right? So now the question is, we are privy in this information age. It's no longer a question. When I was young, we were saying, Africa is the beginning, right? And people was like, oh, you crazy. They looked at us like we was crazy. Well, now, good, reputable white scientists have said via DNA.
And for some of us, that was even instinctual knowledge. It
Right.
wasn't even, we didn't have to read it in a book to know
Right.
that that's what it was.
Right. Right. And all these things that, have happened time and time again when we've been called crazy. Oh, the government introduced drugs into the community. Now y'all are just crazy. Why would the government do that? And then, a couple decades later, CIA introduced crack cocaine into South Central. So, on and on and on. So we got a lot of little problems there. But the key about like a truth-based curriculum is let's remove let's just deal with the truth.
Right.
Is it the truth? Like people say, Jesus is black or something. I don't care. If Jesus was Asian, then I would say Jesus was Chinese or Japanese or Vietnamese or Indian or whatever. If he was a guy from Scotland, then he could be Jesus McChrist or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? But let's call it what it is now that we have the actual factual information.
Absolutely. We have Jamal Crawford here this morning. Listeners, if you're just tuning in, and if you want to call in,
You can call 617-373-2658, and you've tuned into Drumbeat Radio. You can also listen and tune in on 104.9 FM WRBB. Drumbeat Radio is sponsored by the Black Community Information Center. You can also find out more info by going to blackinfonow.org.
wonderful. We're moving on. Questions from our community. What were some of the factors that contributed to communities of color not being able to have a candidate in this final two for the mayor? Would you comment on that, please?
Right. Well, I think first and what's pretty obvious is a lack of organization. We weren't organized, we weren't prepared, and so then we're always left scrambling when someone emerges and then having to put everything together rather than having our stuff together. And then when that person emerges, now that person needs to get on board with what we already have established rather than us trying to establish something around this individual or personality. So, in other words, one of the things that I've been working on is this Boston Black Agenda thing. And many of the people, even in the aftermath of this failure on our part, have said, well, we need an agenda, we need an agenda, we need an agenda. Well, many people have already done agendas. We're currently working on this Boston Black Agenda, and I think that is the only reason. And I remember when this whole thing started, and what really upset me about it was that people were asking me for my support or inquiring about who I would support. So, hey, are you going to support, John Smith or, Billy Bob or what have you? And it's like, okay, well, what does Billy Bob stand for? It's like they want your support and they haven't even told you what they think about things. So that's where an agenda comes in, because once we develop our agenda, and this is what we care about in education, this is how we think about health, this is where we think about public safety, right? And that's already done, that's the concrete 10 commandments. Then it doesn't matter who comes in the door, because we say, where do you fit in with this? This is our agenda, and what are your thoughts on point 1A and 2B or whatever? So that becomes a roadmap, and we kind of put the cart before the horse in this scenario where, we're supposed to drive the conversation, the dialogue, and the movement for organization. We're supposed to drive that by having common foundational principles. It's very simple. But what they did is they did the person first, and then all these different people, I like this one, ooh, I like her, I like him, ooh, look at that, I like his suit, he got a nice smile, whatever, and we end up picking on everything but the things that we're supposed to be picking on, which are principles and issues. It needs to be issue-based instead of personality-based.
Trend-based.
Exactly. So we shot ourselves in the foot on that one, and unfortunately, I was one of the people who was right, and said from the get-go, when I was asked and I was told that I was wrong, I said I do not see any scenario in which a candidate of color emerges into the final two, just for that reason. And people in our community have done stuff like, well, we split the vote, and so-and-so should have got out. I don't believe in that. First of all, white people split the vote too, because there was 12 candidates. 6 of us, quote-unquote, 6 of them, quote-unquote, right? So, once again, going back to the whole thing about, being principle-based, I have to go for who I think is going to be the best person for the job.
Right.
All right?
Right.
And this is a problem we have in our community, too. Hey, sister, I just opened a restaurant. It's called Black People Restaurant. You have to come and support me, okay? Yeah. But the food ain't good. The floor ain't clean. Got a funky little smell in there going on. And when you come in, everybody treats you nasty. But you're still supposed to support me because I'm black.
Right.
And it's a black business. And we got to get out of that. So we can't support political candidates either just because they're black. You got to give me something else. You got to be black and good.
Right.
Right? So for that, I think that there was a couple of failures there. And in my scenario, and obviously this is only my opinion, I believe that if we would have went on strictly the ability to do the job and who was best suited and has the ability demonstrated over decades to do that job, we would have went with Charles Yancey. But Charles Yancey, for whatever his personality issues are, has not resonated with a larger community and has not had the ability to break out of a bubble of being marginalized. But he is the best suited, best qualified for that job. Okay, and then next would if we went on performance, who performed the best was John Barrows, who was a shocker out of left field. I know you have some callers.
Well, I'm sure we'll have some comments about that. We have some callers this morning. Is that brother I've met on the phone?
Yes. Good morning, sister.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm very well. Getting ready to get in there and continue on the discussion that you guys are having.
Oh, that's wonderful. What's your comment or your question this morning, dear? Good to hear from you.
First of all, I wanted to touch back on the last time you sisters were on. You had a wonderful program about the prison phone rates, and I didn't want to call back in then. But the FCC did on September 26th pass some changes that are scheduled to take effect in January. I think it said 90 days from September 26th. So prison phone rates are going to go down to 12 cents and 14 cents a minute. And people should check fcc.gov for more information on that. But relief is coming for those of us who have relatives and friends in prison.
All right, and we're going to have this.
Second of all, I wanted to tell everybody you have until this Wednesday to register to vote in the municipal election on November 5th. So make sure that you're registered to vote. And I want to just say how proud I am of Brother Jamal Crawford. It was 11 years ago when I hosted Drumbeat that he joined me there in the WRBB studio right after the Malcolm X breakfast when the new Black Panthers came to town. I've been watching Brother Jamal Blackstonian as an excellent resource, and I just wanted to ask him how his Feed the Community program is going, because I've never seen anybody that was running for public office do something like that. It's very needed. And how can we get more of our community to come out and vote? According to Eugene Rivers, 85% did not.
Thank you, brother. You're going to hang up and listen, right?
Yes, I will.
All right, dear. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, sir, Minister General. Well, a couple of things. Thank you, of course, for inviting me on your show that time and several other times, in fact, discussing, all the issues that we've discussed over the years, and also for your tireless efforts in order to inform the community, particularly around emergency preparedness and such. It's good that the phone rates are going down in the federal system. I wish I could have proximity to talk to somebody who's in charge of that, because they could use Google Voice for free. They cut out all that money, put it towards like education programs or something. But that wouldn't make them money. It would just make too much sense. So in terms of how do we get people out to vote, I really believe that is really there's an individual responsibility, but really it's the job of candidates to excite people and make it the thing to do, make it cool, if you will. Obama was able to do that, right? And obviously there was a multi-million dollar machine behind that. But I think that we can do those type of same things on a grassroots level. If we look at what I have jokingly called our first openly revolutionary candidate is Chokwe Lumumba, Attorney Chokwe Lumumba, who just won in Jackson, Mississippi. He was been a city councilor there for a couple years, just ran for mayor, and now we have a man named Chokwe Lumumba as the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi. And look, and Boston can't get a black mayor. Ain't it a blip? Ain't it a blip? Right. And here we are in Bosstown, Mississippi, right? and can't get no love. Now, to the other point he brought up, was the voting part of self.
And your feeding program.
The feeding program. Yes. Thank you, ma'am. So just yesterday, we've beforehand, before this campaign, I did it sporadically. Did it whenever people would call. Did it whenever we would do it. Afternoon, night, morning, didn't matter. During the campaign, to manage it a little bit better, we said we're going to do it every Saturday. So now every Saturday from about noon to 3, we do it. This Saturday and every Saturday since we've done it, we've now fed, it's usually like 50 to 60 people every time we do it. And that's when I say people, actually households, families, maybe one person in that household, maybe 5. So 50 or 60 each week for at least the past 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So just in this little campaign cycle, that's almost like 250, 300 people that we fed. Beforehand, because we've been doing this since 11/11/11, via the Occupy the Hood thing that we started, which will be coming back soon, so stay tuned. We're having our 2nd anniversary for Occupy the Hood, which is now Organize the Hood, on October 21st, so stay tuned for details about that. But yeah, so we do it every weekend, and beforehand, we were fed like 1,400 people now. And it's really a great thing. Like, it's one of them things where sometimes I don't know who's really getting the most benefit from it, the people that were helping or me, because I go home feeling high. You know, it's such a fling, you know what I mean? And then two, sometimes when you see, you know, the old lady crack a smile, or you see the baby over there, you know, it's a real good thing. And our people are beautiful people and dignified, even when we are going through some rough situations. And now with this crazy government shutdown and the EBT cards messed up, and it's only going to get worse.
So if somebody wanted to participate in that program, how would they need food? How would they do?
We basically go by word of mouth. Because here's the other thing, you know, there's always the good with the bad. You know, I get people who call me up, be like, yo, I need food. Then you go look on their Facebook and they got like a Mercedes or something. And I'm like, is it really that real out there? You know what I mean? When people are just really like, we give to the needy, not to the greedy. Okay, so what I'm striving to do is create a word-of-mouth situation. We get that information from either people that I know and trust, or in many cases from the various social service agencies around us, whether it's DMIC or, you know, all sorts of people call me up. We already serve shelters. We already serve many of the shelters in the area, whether it's transitional assistant, people who were formerly homeless and now are moving into housing, whether it's recovery from substance abuse, or whether it's sisters who are running from some crazy man via domestic violence. But anybody can contact me at all times, 857-574-5227. That's 857-574-5227. My name's difficult to spell. JamalCrawford.com is the website, but if that's too difficult, just go to Roxbury.com.
Excellent, excellent. It's good to see. Do we have another caller? I had 4 questions for you, Jamal. But we're welcoming Bobby G this morning. Is that you?
Yes, my sister. It is me.
Thank you for being patient. What is your comment or question for our guest?
Thank you. Well, first, it was great also to hear our brother, Minister General Ahmed, chiming in this morning, and I'm going to be getting back to him about the Honorable Mel King and in terms of issues he's been addressing, and so I'll be getting back to him either during the week or possibly next week. My question also, of course, right here, candidate Jamal Crawford, and my question is this: as he has mentioned, he has gone through trials and tribulations of a young man growing up here in our community, and my question is, in terms of the various things that he's been exposed to and that we get exposed to in
question. You're going to hang up and listen, right, Bobby?
No, I didn't hear you too. I'm sorry.
We're going to take this question offline, okay?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, I'll be listening. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Bobby.
All right, Brother Bobby. So the thing is, in my analysis, and I've studied a lot of different things of world religions and various philosophies and politics and da-da-da-da. The one thing that ends up happening, some people, for my mother, she got saved, born again saved, and for her it was Jesus, and that's what turned her life around. Some of the brothers, Minister Rodney, who obviously had the show before this, and brothers in the Nation of Islam, many of them encountered Islam, and that changed their lives. I would submit that above and beyond any kind of spirituality or religious system or anything like that, that the first step is knowledge of self. And that knowledge of self, because that's what opened the door for me to even be interested in all these things. So that first spark actually came through my cousin, who participated in Black Nativity, was another one from Elmer Lewis. Shout out to Aaron, was a student of Jim Spruill and the Black Theater that they did. And when I was 10 years old and he was a student at Dartmouth College, he gave me the autobiography of Malcolm X at 10. Now, you're talking about I was in the Hulk and Spider-Man, and now he'd take this and put that in the stack. Now, he knew I was a good reader, so he knew I could get through it, but it was above my reading level because it was, it was an adult book. But that really changed my whole perspective, and it says, when you raise that bar higher, those kids are going to get higher. So for me, that first introduction to knowledge of self, that put me on a fever pitch I became an information junkie, and I just wanted more and more and more, and that's what happened, and that's what led me on the path that I'm currently on.
Excellent. Station identification?
Just want to remind our beautiful listeners, and thank you for the callers. If you want to call in, call 617-373-2658. You were tuned in to Drumbeat Radio. You can also catch us on WRBB 104.9 FM, sponsored by the Black Community Information Center. We're about to take a quick break for a PSA, and also Brother Rodney Muhammad wanted us to announce an event on Saturday, November 2nd at the William Reed Auditorium. Various leaders, churches, mosques, celebration reception to honor and appreciate this brother. And actually, he said it was going to be a roast. Mm-hmm. They're going to roast him. He's like, it's not that kind of roast. He's like, what you think I'm talking about? But anyway, he wanted to invite people to come out. It's Saturday, November 2nd, 2013.
We support you, Brother Rodney. You know that.
And I just want to, one day I will not have this story in my head that if this thing works. So I'm about to do a PSA.
I stand for the power to change. I live for the perfect day. I love till it hurts like crazy. I hope for a hero to save me.
Hi, I'm Adina Menzel. My music has helped me become a Tony Award-winning singer and songwriter. This is Mahmouda Akhtar. Her training has helped Mahmouda become the local health worker for her village in Bangladesh. Every day, she helps the children in her community survive some of the leading causes of child mortality worldwide. The only reward that Mahmouda gets for her work is the sound of healthy children. It's music to her ears. When you help local health workers like Mahmouda, you help so many children survive all over the world. See where the good goes at goodgoes.org. Find out all the ways you can help get the good where it needs to go.
Helping children all over the world.
Hey, you thought I was about to play some country music.
I did. I was like,
hey, I like country music.
Yeah, but I do too, but the hairs on my head just stood straight up.
I seen them eyeballs talking. I was like, well, what was that? I do think that they need a better, more broader selection of PSAs on here.
But it was good, though, helping children all over the world. We have to continue to do that.
Absolutely. And again, you're tuned into Drumbeat Radio, 617-373-2658, sponsored by the Black Community Information Center. You can go to blackinfonow.org for more information.
I want community to just look around the community now. What I'm looking at here is a wonderful, it's a newspaper, about 8-page newspaper that Jamal Crawford has put up, District 7 City Council. check off his name on November 5th. But I want you to investigate who this young man is. And he's got a number of agendas here that he plans to put on his work schedule, his ideas and all the things that he'd like to change about the community. Sister Nataka, I wanted you to just read a couple of these titles for me. I forgot my glasses this morning, but let the community know what some of those agendas are. And then we want to know more about Jamal Crawford, and if he is all of this wonderful topics that he has in his newspaper, then why is he different? Why we should vote for him? And let's get that ball rolling so that we can introduce him correctly to our community. Can you see that?
Talk about laying something out, and when, talking about moving out of, off a principle, this is something that I really have not seen in this way.
I know.
So I just want to commend you on really laying it out in a way that people can understand not only who you are as an individual, but, what your thoughts are about what's happening in our community. So we got lots going on here around public safety, crime and violence, Boston Police kiosks, which where you're identifying hotspots, permanent installations where basically, I should really be having you civilian review board and co-op, diversity in the Boston Boston Police Department, which we know is a big,
schools too, though.
which is a big issue, especially in positions as we know, jobs, employment, economic development, and housing. Diversity, here we go, in City Hall. Diversity in the Boston Fire Department, business expos, business pages, and like Jamal Crawford also said, teaching people how to, get into media, do your own newspapers and schools, help raise money, economic development as a main priority, or as a, top priority, dropout rates in education, truth-based curriculum, as he was talking earlier, you name it, transparency and accountability, having a D7 specific services hotline, which I think is an excellent idea, because I actually live in District 7.
All right.
Just a whole wide range of engagement services, monthly community meetings. I know Aziza always talks about this. I have bringing back the community meetings the way that people used to have them, when you could just come out and talk about issues,
all the time. And it's really when
domestic violence network.
Exactly. When I was looking around for a candidate to vote for, I was wondering, where are these issues? Why aren't all of these issues being brought up? A lot of times we asked our candidates who come to the meetings that we have these particular questions, and you get no direct answer.
Right. And I think everything is isolated. It's pocketed,
fluff,
and pocketed discussions. It happens here, there, but not everywhere. And not with everybody. Everybody is not on the table. And that kind of goes back to that question about how do we get people to vote? How do we get people engaged in a way that they feel like this is a place to come, a forum in which they can come and speak about the things that really matter to them. One of the things that they were talking about before was a lot of the housing, the developments. And a lot of times folks who are existing in these developments don't have a voice. They might not have a very strong, there's a lot of politics in these development projects. And so a lot of times the tenants really, their voices get lost. So imagine that there be a forum that could support, other than the people who, the management companies' pockets, could really support and benefit these folks who are really struggling, getting kicked out, evicted.
That's been the theme of the weekend. Everywhere I've gone has been talking about that, from three of some of the largest housing developments in our community. And
can I speak too?
Yes, please.
Roxy Homes.
Exactly. That's
Mandela, which is right up the street.
That's another one. Right. Exactly. So those two right there, I don't want to just,
Well, at some point, guys.
Right, exactly. But I want to, those people have their own, thing that they have promoted and whatnot. So the tenants of Roxy, obviously, and the tenants of Mandela can, address and identify their issues far better than I could. I just know that over the decades that I've been around, it's always been the drama between the owners and the people who live there. It almost reminds me of like this medieval kind of fiefdom or something like that, you know what I mean? Because you got these landlords who do not live there, but yet they are the lord of the land. Yeah. And, and they rain down from on high with all these edicts and whatnot that make life difficult for the people. And they don't even understand the advantage of having, like what they say, happy wife, happy life, right? So, if you had a happy tenants, your life would be easier too.
Right.
People would be championing you instead of, throwing eggs and tomatoes at you.
Right. People would be moving out of poverty.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
I was reading some of your stuff, and I know you've been working on the Boston Black Agenda. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, and let me give you that as
So don't
well.
forget, folks, look for this brightly red newspaper that Jamal Crawford has put out. Very colorful. I'm sure you
And
can.
then got another one for you.
And let us know where you're putting these so folks can pick them up. It's a free newspaper with all of the information about him. Everything is spelled out here. Addresses, phone numbers, websites, how to check off, how to write in, what to do, all of the agenda that he plans to cover when he is in office. So give this brother a chance. Go on and speak down.
It's pretty much everywhere that you would expect it. You know what I mean? You can find it in the Roxbury Mall, the Frugal Bookstore, and some other locations in there. You find it in Nubian Notion, of course. You'll find it at Everything Is Real Barbershop down inside Hibernian Hall. And then, just about every variety store. If you go down Humboldt, every variety store. If you go up Dudley Street, every variety store. If you go up Blue Hill Ave, every variety store within the district. And what happens is I put them down and they go like hotcakes. A lot of people are really, they like this, and the response has been overwhelming. So I don't put a big gigantic stack in there. I go and put 30, 40 in there, maybe 50. And then generally when I come back in a week or so, they're all gone. So that means either people are taking them or one of my many haters is running around and, dumping them in the trash. But I would like to think that people are taking them because I have gotten wonderful responses from people. I've seen people in pictures on Facebook. We're holding it in their hands and, and let me tell you too, the reason I did it, let me tell the voting people something, because I'm not a politician. I'm a community activist and an organizer. I'm just a regular dude. So I, like you, get a lot turned off and ticked off with the process sometimes. And the reason that I put this thing and tried to make it so thorough is because I literally have a milk crate full of flyers, newsletters, and all this from this last mayoral cycle, right? And every time I would get one, as a media analyst, I would try to look at it, read it, see what it says. And all of the time I would walk away feeling, I don't know nothing about this person. People do stuff like education. Okay, a quality education for anyone. Okay, that sounds great, but how do you plan to arrive there? And first of all, it's not like there's a group in the streets who are saying, bad education for everyone. So you pick the easiest stuff where there's no opposition to, and you say, I want more sunshine and rainbows. That's really easy. Tell us a little bit about some more stuff. So when I did this, I wanted to give people, and I couldn't write a book, but I wanted to give people something at least with a little bit more substance. Right, and I had to cut it down because then this could have been a 30-page newspaper. So I tried to cut stuff down to make it easier for people to take on the go, but also substantive. With that old cookie commercial say, I bet you bite a chip, no matter where you go in here, you should find some little nugget of truth. And the Boston Black Agenda is furthering that, and I just encourage people to go to bostonblackagenda.com, sign up, and here what you can do is you can input your information to be part of the candidates questionnaire, and time is very short now because we're at the tail end of this Boston Black Agenda. And then also too, at the end of it, we will be also putting out a comprehensive document based on all the input and the ideas that we've collected over these past several months for the Boston Black Agenda. And then we hope that once the new mayor is in place, now we can give that to him as the driving force for what it is we'd like to see in terms of policy.
Right. And I definitely think that helps level out playing fields too. You know what I'm saying? The more information that people get, the better they are able to make decisions about, who's best for their city and who's best for their districts, and and then have a forum in which to make those things happen. And I mean, going back to the mayoral election, similar thing.
Right.
And they're talking about kind of, why aren't the black folks unified on one candidate?
Right.
And that's a hard place to be at when things are so kind of pocketed and politics is running heavy and, but we don't get it. And
it's good to have you here, Jamal.
Thank you.
Letting us know exactly what you stand for in an honest way. And we're going to have Tito Jackson on too at some point to tell us about his agenda. We're just wanted to mention that.
Oh, good. That's good, and I know that this show is fair and believes in that, and that's all good, and we're all for it. I'd like to leave a couple questions for him.
Okay, wonderful. We'll let you know when he's going to be on.
Beautiful.
You mentioned something to me last night at community tables. I think I was asking you about a post that I had seen on Facebook that Ayanna Presley and Marty Walsh had gotten married, and we were joking about that, and you were explaining some things to me, and then you mentioned where she might have made a mistake. Would you want to talk a little bit about that?
I think at least the part of the conversation that I recall is just talking about the imagery of what happens to black women in professional lives and in politics. And I remember that, and then obviously our own history with the black woman and the white male, which is, not a pleasant one. That when we talk about this type of imagery, it's the same thing that I've seen happen over and over and over again. So Condoleezza Rice and George Bush, people would make the joke that they were possibly sleeping together because they viewed Condoleezza as as a puppet, frankly, of George Bush, that she was so in his pocket that they must be having some sort of intimate relationship. Okay. And that was what they put out there in the media. It was joked about. It was certainly in pop culture and on the internet. And then a similar thing happened during the mayoral thing with Charlotte Golar Ritchie as well. And that some people made that same type of crude joke in regards to her relationship with Menino. And that, Charlotte was in Menino's pocket, and, I think they were having intimate relations or what have you. So this is a thing that I see done a lot of time to women in general, but black women particularly. And with black women, it's always matching the black woman with a white male counterpart. So you have the George Bush Condoleezza, you got the Thomas Menino, Charlotte Golar Ritchie, and now, not to be outdone, some idiot comes up with the thing that Ayanna Presley and Marty Walsh. I can assure you that they are not married. I can assure you that Ayanna's fiance would not go for that for 1 second at all, and I would support him in that. And that, politics is what it is. Ayanna's a smart woman. She's done her job, I think, in an excellent manner. And I think that, she has the right to make a choice of whoever she chooses to support based on the criteria that she has in front of her. I myself have not seen really anything that would sway me towards Walsh. And I'm still researching both of them to make that determination as to who I feel as though is best for our community.
So Ritchie endorsed anyone?
She just came out and endorsed Marty Walsh yesterday.
Was that a good decision?
I don't believe so. There's some things about Marty Walsh that concern me that I'm not at liberty to say right now because I'm working on some very big breaking news. But when that research is complete, and if anything, politically, I think that endorsement is premature, if anything. So that's one way it's a bad decision. I could have waited another week or two, see how things play out a little bit more. So that would have been my thing, particularly when there's no advantage in it for you. I don't know if she's fishing for a cabinet position or jockeying for positions for, some of her people who helped her out, or, you never know. And that's unfortunately the nature of politics now. You don't know if people are doing it because they really feel it or if there's some other agenda.
Wow. So we've got our Roxbury, Mattapan, Dorchester youngster who came up, flew up like an eagle, changed his life because of some wonderful literature and books that someone had handed him, and he took it seriously, changed his life, went around these different cities that we live in and just saw the problems, investigated, did his research, met people, shook hands, and changed his whole lifestyle around to become a potential leader of this community.
Thank you.
And I congratulate you. I certainly take my hat off to you, and I'm glad you've made these decisions. And anytime that we can help you, sisters here on the radio can help you to bring out any more points of your agenda, we will do that. We've got 4 more minutes in our show, and if you'd like to speak on anything that you think you might have forgotten about what the community should know? Why don't we spend a minute of that time giving everyone your information, your email addresses, your phone numbers again, get your pencils, community, all of the wonderful stuff so we can get in touch with you and tell us what to do when we go to the polls, okay? Yes.
All right. So in my estimation, I would say that we have already done, more than in terms of outreach than has been done by the current city councilor. So I hope you do have your pens and your pencils, because I'm going to give you some information. First of all, more important to me, District7Boston.com. Go to District 7, District DISTRICT, the number 7, Boston.com. That's a website that we set up when I announced the campaign based on the fact of all the services and resources and information that we have on the Blackstonian for years, and people be asking us about, where can I get my kid in camp, where can I do this, where can I do that. So we have all these listings, but really it was too much and it demanded its own page. So we created its own website. So if you go to District 7 Boston, that's district spelled out, the number 7, Boston spelled out.com, you can get a website that is just purely news, information, and resources pertinent to the community. If I'm homeless, where can I go find a shelter? If I got a kid and they need to go to camp, where can they go? If I'm a woman who's suffering from domestic abuse, where can I go? So that type of stuff is just there. Where can I pay a ticket? Where can I pay my taxes? It's all there. District7Boston.com. So that's one thing. Then, of course, for the campaign, there's me, Jamal Crawford. My name is spelled JAMARHL, Crawford.com. And when you go right in, I'd like you to get it right, but don't worry too much, because I've been assured by the election department that as long as they can tell that the intent was there for Jamal Crawford, that there can be misspellings and it will still count towards me. But we tried to make that easier too. So there is JamalCrawford.com, but there's also, as I have on my little wristbands here, JC4D7. JC, my initials, 4, F-O-R, D7.com. And easier than that, if you can't get that, then you can remember this, Roxbury.com.
Roxbury.com.
All roads lead you to the same place.
Okay.
And then in terms of my phone number and whatnot, 857-574-5227. That's 857-574-5227. And if you are those people who are into the little cutesy way that the thing spells out, the last the 5227 is JCC7.
Oh,
all right.
All together. That's
yes.
a sweet thing.
Yeah, we look. Yeah, and I got at Twitter at JC4D7. On Facebook, you can check me out, either my name, Jamal Crawford, or the campaign site, Elect Jamal Crawford. My email is jamalcrawford.d7@gmail.com.
So that just means people, ain't no
excuse. There's no excuse. And literally, you can call me at 3 in the morning, and I will pick up the phone as long as I hear it and I'm not in a dead sleep. Or, if you call me 5 in the morning, if not, I'm not in the shower or getting ready or something like that. If I hear the phone ring, I answer the phone at all times. And as a revolutionary, as an activist, I've had to do that over the years, because you never know when somebody's calling you, some sister's calling you, this dude, I need your help, or some woman's calling you, my son got locked up, I need your help, or whatever it is. So, as we say, we're doing good in the hood, and, good can't sleep because evil never sleeps.
All right, we're going to be closing soon. Our
yes,
theme song, we're going to play it, but before we do that, it's been a pleasure to have you here. Speak a little bit about prisons for profit. What's going on? I know it'll take
Well, all I can do is here's what I'll do quickly. Just created a website working in coalition with a wonderful group of people. I encourage everybody out there to go to jobsnotjails.org. Jobsnotjails.org. That's a new campaign. Sign the petition. Get involved in that. That'll give you a lot of information. And then also, too, I'm happy to report to the community, for those that don't know, Senator Diane Wilkerson is back in town. I had the opportunity to see her, which is wonderful. And surprise, surprise, she came back as soon as I saw her, gave me work to do. All right? And one of those things, for those that know Diane, no, she's not playing. And one of the things that she was working on while she was in there was that she uncovered this disparity in terms of the incarceration rates of women in general women of color in particular, and their male counterparts. So you can find out that information on womenoverincarcerated.org, womenoverincarcerated.org, and please check that site if you don't do it nothing else out. Womenincarcerated.org. Left hand side, there's one of the tabs, and it says sentencing disparities. If you click on that tab, it'll take you to this report, and the report, bring some tissue, because it's going to knock you out. Knock you out.
Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, matter of fact, let me tell you, the white men are serving 52% of what they should be. Women in general serving 300%, and black women serving 480%. Just to look at how glaring that disparity is.
Unbelievable. We
Lots
have
of
our
work to
warrior.
do.
We have our warrior sitting here in our studio this morning, huh? We've all got work to do, and we're asking you all to rise up and talk to the children, talk to your sisters and brothers, do something nice for a young person. Hi. And Sister Family Trees is getting ready to come on, and we are getting ready to sign out. This is Sister Sowing Seeds here in the community. Thank you, Brother Siddiqui, for allowing us to do the drum beat here every fourth Sunday. Let's talk about our website. Just do our website real quickly, please. And
This is Drumbeat Radio, blackinfonow.org, sponsored by the Black Community Information Center. You can hear us every Sunday from 10 to 11 at 104.9 FM. Adding in that the views and opinions of Drumbeat Radio is not that of Northeastern University. And we've had a great show. We got someone who wants to say bye?
Bye, community. Bye, community.
my 8-year-old saying goodbye to the community. We are out. Peace out. Stay black, and we'll see you next time.